We're all very lucky. The American alligator was almost extinct back in the 1960s. They had been overhunted, so there were very few of them left. And they were lucky because we started protecting them in the early 1970s with the Endangered Species Act. They were one of the original 10 original animals put on the endangered species list. And it was such a successful program, it took less than 20 years before we were able to remove it from the endangered species list. And now we once again have millions and millions of alligators all throughout the southeastern United States. So they range as far north as North Carolina, down into Florida, over to Texas. That's the home for the American alligator. Now, any of you folks that want to go see a wild American alligator, these days it's pretty easy to do. You can go less than a mile from Busch Gardens. The Hillsborough River goes past the park. And you can go out on the Hillsborough River and see alligators out there. Chances are if you go to a golf course here in Tampa, you're going to see an alligator on the golf course. They like those ponds on the golf courses. So if you hit the ball in the water a lot like I do, what do you do with it? Leave it, absolutely, because there might be an alligator hanging out in the water there. Now, when you do go see wild American alligators, you think they're just going to let you walk around them and hang out with them like these guys? No, you know, this is actually a learned behavior. A true wild American alligator should not want to be around people. They should want to move away from us and hide from us. And what's the best place for an alligator to hide from a person? In the water. Yeah, they go underwater, they sit down on the bottom very still. In the summertime, an alligator can stay underwater for about 20 minutes. In the wintertime, it could be up to 2 hours that they can stay underwater. So much longer in the wintertime when their metabolism's a lot slower. All right, so what is it that Chrissy and I do with these alligators that's changed their behavior? Why are they no longer scared of us? We feed them. Yeah, we feed them. So that's our responsibility, is to feed them. So they start thinking of us as a good thing. Instead of wanting to run away from us, they don't think about us as being a bad thing. They think of us as a good thing. And that's the same thing that happens out in the wild, especially in places like boat launches, fishing piers, and golf courses, because people end up feeding alligators out in the wild. Please don't feed wild American alligators, because it changes their behavior and it makes it so that they're not scared of people. And when they're not scared of people, they start approaching everybody they see trying to get food. All right, so what do you think these guys would eat if they were living out on the Hillsborough River in Florida? What's that? Meat? You know, you're actually too big. You're not really the main. People are not really on the menu for the American alligators. Do they ever attack people? They do. And there's usually two reasons why they attack people. One of them is very understandable. Female alligators are very, very good mothers. So if you get too close to their eggs, their nest, or their baby, they're going to try and protect their stuff, and they're going to try and chase you away. And then the other time they do go after people is after this happens, and they've lost their fear of people from being fed, and they think they can get food from people. But normally they should want to stay away from us. They should want to hide from us. So alligators like to eat small things. They like bite-sized things. So they like to eat things like birds, turtles, fish, frogs, snakes, all the small mammals that we have in the southeastern United States, things like raccoons and possums, otters, minks, squirrels. Just things that they can catch and swallow whole is what they prefer to eat. Now, I know you're all wondering if this is a feeding time for the alligators here at the park, and this is when you're all going to walk away from my presentation, because this is not a feeding time. The last time we gave these guys a full meal was at the end of November, and we won't give them another full meal until March or April, when the weather warms up enough that they can start digesting their food again. Now, as the weather cools down, they go from feeding 2 times a week to feeding once a week, and then they stop altogether when the weather gets cool enough. So in our climate, it's usually the end of November. If we were up, say, in South Carolina, it would probably be, maybe the beginning of October that they would stop eating, because the weather gets a lot cooler quicker there. Now, it's not just the daytime temperature the alligators worry about, because it's the nighttime temperature, the water temperature, the land temperature. All of that prevents them from keeping their bodies warm enough to digest food. So right now, if they were to eat, that food would sit in their stomach and it would start to rot because they can't digest it. All right, so what kind of questions do you guys have for us? Now you must have some questions.
Last time we were here, you guys were feeding them chickens. It had to be about a month ago, so they haven't eaten since then?
Yeah, the end of November was one of the last feedings. It was just the end of November. And yeah, we usually rotate between mostly chicken and fish, and they eat about 5 pounds per alligator per feeding when we do feed them. Well, they eat the turtles. You know, we never say never. Nothing stops them from going after the turtles, but the alligators get all the nutrition they need from me and Chrissy, so it's a lot easier for them to wait for us to bring them food than it is for them to catch their own food. But we never say never. Any other questions? Yeah.
Where are the alligators at nighttime?
Where are they at nighttime? They stay here at nighttime. A lot of times they're in the water. They just sit down on the bottom, but they're in the habitat. It's all weather dependent. In the summertime, they might be more likely to be out of the water at night because it's a better temperature for them. In the wintertime, they're most likely to be in the water at night because it's a better temperature for them. They're all about the same size. How old are they? These little guys here, these were hatched at another facility in Florida about 23, 24 years ago over a few different seasons. And then the two big guys we have, I think that might be one of them up there in the back. The two big guys we have, they were brought to us in the 1970s from the Tampa Bay area. They were wild alligators that were nuisance alligators, so not behaving like alligators, getting too close to people. So they had to be relocated here to live out their lives. So we think they're at least 65 years old. And they're about 800 pounds. Any other questions? How long do they live for? The books I read say that in the wild they live to be about 45 years old, but in managed care I found reference to one that lived to 81. And I actually think probably they live longer than that, and we didn't start keeping good records on them from when they hatched until the early 1970s. So I think if you come back in the year 2070, we'll be able to tell you they live close to 100 years old. Yes? Oh, he's scratching his tail with his foot? I guess he had an itch. You know, that's interesting because you think of them as having such hard, tough skin, but you can see they do cut and scratch pretty easily. And probably about 15, 20 years ago, when the West Nile virus became real popular in the Southeast, and not popular, but it started spreading throughout the Southeast, I was working in Louisiana, and they found that a lot of alligators were getting West Nile virus, so they were getting bit by mosquitoes, and they were getting the West Nile virus. So very interesting. You wouldn't think that tough skin would be susceptible to mosquito bites, but it certainly is. Anything else? Yeah. They're all males, yep. Why is that? There's a couple of main reasons for that. One is the wild population and the zoo population is doing very well, so we don't need to have any offspring. So by having just males, it's easier to control the offspring. And then the other main reason is that a lot of our guests have never seen an alligator before. And one of the first questions I get is where's the biggest one? They want to see big alligators. And female alligators stop growing at about 9 feet in length, whereas male alligators will continue to grow throughout their life and can get to those larger sizes. They get along well, yeah, pretty much. You can see they do what we call raking. They run their teeth over each other a little bit. Occasionally they'll step on each other, but mostly they get along well. Have what kind of marks? He has some scrapes on him from the raking of the teeth from the other alligators. And you'll see they have some little scrapes and stuff on him. Yes?
What's the main difference between crocodiles and alligators?
Main difference between crocodiles and alligators, it's very easy to remember. Alligators have more teeth. So it is kind of hard to count their teeth, but alligators have more teeth, so I like to remember they have a bigger mouth. They have a nice wide mouth to fit more teeth, whereas crocodiles have a slender, more narrow mouth to have less teeth in it. Crocodiles have what we call a crocodile smile, so you see a lot of the teeth on the outside of the mouth, whereas the alligators, you see some teeth on the outside, but mostly they have pockets and sockets to fit them in. That's kind of just a generalization. Yes? How many alligators do we have? We have 12 alligators. We have 10 in here and 2 behind you. No, she didn't fall for it. 12 alligators. They're all in here with me and Chrissy. Any other questions?